Bills and there's Gary. There. Chase him down. You ready? Yeah. All right. Gary, you want to be number 2 or number 12? 12? Any other announcements? Oh, you gotta say hi about Fiona and
Lori, you want to come with the eyes?
Yes, other announcement. SF Peace and Hope is accepting poems for the 2014 issue now.
Right, and how was the time?
San Francisco Peace and Hope.
Yeah, San Francisco Peace and Hope is accepting entries for their new issue, and I think you got a couple of weeks to get them in, the deadline?
I think it's still early March.
I think it's about, they should go online for that, right?
Yeah.
sfpandhope.com.
I also lived on Alumni with Jonathan years ago.
Hmm?
89, something
Oh,
like that.
Well, yeah, we can get it. Otherwise, you have to watch the park. Any other announcements? Oh, yeah, we got all kinds of things for the prizes.
Yeah.
Whoa, a lot of stuff. P.D. James, Elizabeth Jor, The Great Animal Orchestra by Bernie Krause, and The Poisoner's Handbook. I can personally recommend this one. About crime in New York City in the Roaring '20s. What's this one? Margaret Truman, from her crime fiction books, and she was the president's daughter. And a whole and Jack Mellender's poetry book is available. His chapbook on there. And several 2014 calendars.
And a dictionary.
Oh, damn, I got that. Look at this. Webster's New World. You need this. Ooh. Carry it home. Okay, we're ready. We want to thank Eddie and Fiona for having us here again and putting up with all this stuff. Great time to Greg, which where you want to be on this? Number 2 or number 13? Number 13. Okay. That's it. We're running. Anybody comes in, I'll just sign them up as they come. So our first, am I forgetting anything? No. So, our teacher tonight is David Erdreich. David Erdreich is here, and he'll be our teacher. And our mini teacher, if he shows, and he probably will, is Marco Harper.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think everybody here knows that that's one of the prizes too. In addition to all these incredible books here, if you get your name drawn, I guess it's the number that you're on here, right? That's the number. And if your number comes up at the end, then you can get to be the mini feature for next week. All right, here we go. Buford Bunton is coming at you.
This is called Further Frustration. Once again, the big young man with a degree of basketball skill flipped out during the beginning of the day. His books and another notebook went flying as the large kid fumed. Though he later picked up the books and notebook, he had done a bit of damage. not big damage, but he wrote on the inside walls with a ballpoint pen, all while cursing. He banged his knuckles on a chain link fence, causing me to admonish him for his temper. The rest of the day was better since it didn't have much to beat. I walked Emilio in his walker twice, morning and afternoon. It seemed calm at the end of the school day. Somehow, considering the early day drama, I'm not surprised by that. This is called The Weekend, Unlike the Week. I'm here at UCSF scribbling with a cheap pen, waiting for lunch to come around and for poetry to start at 2 p.m. This week, another paraprofessional or instructional aide left my classroom to work at fancy Lowell High School, which houses both traditionally gifted students and developmentally challenged kids. She goes on after fighting with the head teacher, a no-no, of course. The other person to be outsized, I guess the term might be, came by the inclusion band class and interrupted my student hitting the bongos. The student has mentioned how much he doesn't like this teacher's aide, but the 12th grade student and I just kept our mouths closed and let this man do his inappropriate interference, banging on animal skin, and move on. From my standpoint, I was just trying to get the student involved instead of just watching the other students in this class. The people with various ailments, or those who love them, or those spectacular people who care for them, cross Parnassus Street here at UC Medical Center. I am extraordinarily tired from all the walker guiding for 90 minutes daily with my meningitis damaged student and his limp but somehow strong body, from listening to another student scream out his lungs and throw things, trying to keep him and others out of harm's way, from my fellow teacher's aide leaving, and from marching students from the marching students from the bus arrival to the cafeteria to the classroom to begin the Monday through Friday routine. I think I might need to go to a movie and try to relax and either forget my problems or work through them in a more docile milieu. How much time do I have left?
Oh, one more poem.
Okay.
Not too long.
No, this is short. This is called Intelligent Jocks. I watched the NFC championship game at UCSF, run into a food server upon whom I've had a crush yet. I think my main goal is to see if San Francisco can get into the Super Bowl again. My father, who'd be 99 years young if he were alive, left the planet 17 years ago in April, a smart but one-time stepfather abused child. Now my and at least the rest of my surviving siblings' memory. He used to keep manually concocted statistics of all University of Alabama football games. He, the former high school softball pitcher.
Right. Buford Button's poetry shows you how interesting, exciting, and maddening teaching public school. I'm a surviving public school teacher myself. Okay, number 2, nobody signed up for number 2, so the honor goes to number 3. Oh, no, you're wrong.
Right on.
What, the schoolyard? If you go, take number 2, then you can go next, or you can go number 14. What? Okay, on.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Latest poems. On the eve of a reading. There are people over there, as I lose my mind to a pronoun, at the beach. The sun sets as though a child had drawn it. Rays like a crayon glimmer to the sand. The waves squiggle and giggle, undulate underneath a passive surfer, on top of days and dazes. The sun sings a song to the soft wet sand. I'm almost afraid to run to the water, and yet wet up to my ankles. Four short poems. Raven noises defile the air. It scares the pigeon. 2. Bleak thoughts, bleak thoughts. My mind cries for a sentence. My mind, my mind. My mind becomes the wind for a split second, then becomes the air, then quiet vanishes. The quiet vanishes. At the Trieste, I'm writing right here. Number 4, the wind of puke and throb, the puke of air. Are you easily scared? My wits are elsewhere. Fast, a prose rhapsody. My reasons trip on a season of uninspiration. The inspired are not the expected. I'm sitting on what? I do not expect a poem or a metaphor to show itself in the cold or from the library stacks, where you would expect it to find a home. They, the metaphors that is, are never on the bus, nor are they really in the air, or they sometimes blow by like leaves in the wind. Poem number 1. Eric Satie, Debussy. I sit pensively in the sea as men mark time, march strangely through my reel, strangely opaque, thoroughly fake, gates of treason against reason. Poem number 2. Christmas, New Year's, horsemen pass by. Yates, I wonder why the fly flies. I sit with myself, books on the shelf. Sometimes I talk to a tiny elf. My neighbor is a Guelph. I think I'm a Gibelline. I like green beans. Time starts marching, marking time like a green marine. A room full of nouns. A squeak of mice, the noise nouns make. The room full of fears, the tears try to run to the ring for silence from the noise nouns make. Once upon a day, the rebirth of take and give, the reasons we forgot to. See more to reason for the season, a season of reason we yearn and pine, for away there is noise, the noise nouns make. Noise and nouns, the nonsense, the sounds. We sit and search the heavens. The moon and clouds penetrate the dark sky. I will ask why and what we listen to. Well, the noise that nouns make.
Okay.
What?
Got another one?
2 or 3 more, how's that?
Short one like that?
Just envoy and 2 more on the next page.
Okay.
Envoy. Nouns flow from my loins like flowers. A metaphor, the king asks his men for more. more than heaven? This house of images belongs to someone else. 2 more poems. Turn up your heart. The moon is full. The morn of the moon is in morning. Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, and did you say puke in the air?
What?
Was that your line from that other poem that you wrote?
Let's see.
Something about puking in the air, or the air is puking. Sounds like Bukowski.
What?
Sounds like Bukowski's poem.
A little bit like, yeah, it just came to me. I haven't read a lot of Bukowski, but it just came to me.
He's right. That's a good book, 2000.
I love that word.
Yeah.
We mustn't just, stylistically, we mustn't just bump into each other or something.
Well, you were LA guys, right?
Yeah, we're both from LA.
Okay, thank you, Owen, and Jack, you're up. London.
That puking in the air could be Herbert Funky too, you know.
Yeah.
It's called Foreign. Don't you think marbles are everyday? Look, case in point. See the lovely piano girl there, sprawled on the rug, amid her scores beneath the bookcase, reciting what tunes will magic the air. They can inspire her diplomat father to fashion a peace between countries at war. Hearten the heartbroken brother to bother, reviving his desperate love life once more. Though music and I've had our differences, I've never noticed my choice of the next word in lyric references over hotter inspiring to rejoice than at sounds of DJs from the autos that pass by my window all day, or tunes blue as secret grottos that sidewalk harmonicas play. The afflatus of music inspiriting this lyrical pen with personas well fit to the theme they're meriting, no matter if heroes or Jonas. Each score seemed to stretch into one continuous line of music, becoming an intermittent beam of versicolor light whose changes in visual tone across the spectrum from red through orange, yellow, and green to blue corresponded to aural changes in texture, pitch, tone across the piano octaves from low to high, the duration of pulses that changed in light matching the lengths of notes and chords and rests, and the music chords being blendings of colors. In a moment I saw the compressed music of a day-long concert as score after score joined the flow through my eyes into my mind's ear. Uphill and down dale I walked to the park and all the while breathed without fail. Lovers there laughing like raised spirits, like lark and playing kids' voices your ears regale. And low hillsides of party-colored people sprawled on the lawn of a Saturday noon. In the languors lounging beneath the steeple of the church, where they hoped to apostatize soon.
Party-colored people.
Changing rise, becalmed ashore, the waves don't run, lest the hills quake. In love alone you'll pitch and yaw like a wild sea. So simply phone that girl you saw, such a hot she, whose lyric more than epic's bun will retail me. This is called, that's the last one, After the First Date. What if we meet again? I'd risk your saying something jocular, and my control, unwitting, whisk away. I feel tubular. It's not I can't condone your plan for conference intersexual, it's just I don't know how a man aroused can be effectual. But let rapprochement be one between ecstasy enthusiasts. You whose are how life's begun, and us whose are just our most fun. We'd vow to halt hostilities, the war between the sexes, with 5 codpiece civilities, unless of course it Texas. It might then be best if we met. At least let's schedule conference too. I can't succumb to each in federal terms beyond the way you do.
Thank you, Jack. Party-colored people. That's going to stay with me. Okay, Jonathan, you're on. You ready? Go get him.
These poems were written for, to, and about girls in my life. Dorothy, I made love to you last night. Without you, God, you were great. In fact, you were so good, sorry I have to go to the bathroom. Dorothy, just as springs come, you, damn, I forgot the haiku. But it took me all day long to write that damn haiku. I was in a coffee house in New York, and a friend of mine was sitting with two girls on either side of the table, and he was here, you know, and she. And I sat there. Well, they were enthralled with him, so I gathered my ego and put it in my pocket. And I left and went down to a bar on McDougal Street and bought a short beer. And this guy walks in with muddy pictures under his arm. And I said, if he didn't drink so damn much, maybe he could paint. And somebody said, shut up, kid, you don't know nothing. So I gathered my ego and put it in my pocket, and I left. And when I reached 6th Avenue and 4th Street, a ball came over the fence. And this boy came to the fence and said, hey, mister, throw me the ball. Well, within 4 minutes, I was 12 years old, and at the end of the 4 minutes, I was a man. And I wrote, oh, if I could be of ageless age, to talk with teenagers and mid-agers alike, or if I could be of ageless age, to walk and play. Yeah. It was very difficult growing up. My first quarter was, it took forever to get to 25. And then the second quarter was pretty slow too. But the third quarter went like a jet. Damn. I could have wasted more time. And there was time on my hands. Where's the washroom?
I'm in the fourth quarter now. I'm taking my time. Okay. Karen. Here you go.
Beach haiku. If If I write your name with a pelican feather, does that mean I love you? Gray tiger. Once, a gray tiger sang to the moon like a wolf, then dreamed of blue birds. You might be able to tell I've been teaching my kids haiku this week. It's a teacher thing. Lesson haiku. Dumping adjectives from basket to floor, teaching children poetry. The laundromat on Terraval. When the young man pushing his small daughter around in the laundromat cart meant for loading dryers smiled, and the baby waved her hand, gurgling, "Bye-bye, bye-bye," I felt happy for no reason, satisfied to be folding underwear and towels, at a moment when clean clothes seemed like recreation enough. Conversation. Don't know what any of this means, she said, as she shredded the daffodil into increasingly tiny ribbons, which I somehow expected her to eat. But she only held them between her thumb and forefinger 3 long minutes before spitting on the ground, letting them fall as she stood to go. Gray tiger too. A gray tiger is sleek and strong, more sophisticated than flashy. Her every move is sensuous, self-assured. Her green eyes flash with desire. The males are all a little afraid. She is different, not so easily impressed. The gray tiger pads along the beach, dives into the surf in pursuit of real or imaginary prey. She does not mind the snide comments, accusations of impropriety. Gray tigers can hide in the fog.
I'd like to see a gray tiger. Okay, that was Karen, and now we have Stephanie. Stephanie's the one who brought all the calendars. Yeah, I'm sure.
This is called Retaliation versus the Cold Shoulder. Give me political retaliation any day over the cold shoulder. Retaliation, New Jersey style. The payback for a non-endorsement. Friends lying up here, enemies over there. All made clear by big traffic jams at the George Washington Bridge from the Big Apple to the Palisades. I take this any day over friends who turn away as you approach, friends that smile but refuse to converse, and so on. Christie endorsed Obama, the payoff for the swift federal relief after Hurricane Sandy. But a Republican is a Republican, and New Jersey now has its own Richard Daley, big man, big machine. This movie has already been made. The big man coughs and somebody dies. He touches his hat, the runner leads off first. He rubs his nose, the runner attempts to steal. The catcher sees all and responds to the manager. The pitcher's next pitch hits the batter, just like a few innings ago, vice versa. Despite the code, it's all very clear. A Republican is not a Democrat, but endorsements can be purchased for several $1 million in disaster relief, just like the pork in Congress. Give me traffic jams any day over the power lunch, back-patting old boy confusion, when Ted Kennedy befriended his enemy across the aisle with no certainty of his vote. Hey, in Syria, they know who their enemies are. So let's all line up like some wild conga line and scratch each other's backs, do each other favors, punish the non-compliant, reward the president for swift hurricane relief, and generally force big traffic jams whenever the boss don't get his way. Political wheeling and dealing, a time-honored tradition. But the smoke in the smoke-filled room is clearing, and there's nothing but cigar butts left to tell the story. Cigar butts and little rumors being fanned by the ambitions of small fry with bright lights and big city dreams. A cleanup crew assigned to fix the mess is arriving. Distractions engineered and stories planted, amnesia will settle in by spring, and the king of New Jersey will reign. Let's all go visit the Palisades soon and sing songs in praise of the river below while we wait for this traffic jam to clear. Just don't expect any favors.
Okay, now you have to put up with me. It's my turn. All right. And a friend of mine sent me this poem, and the title got me. I mean, I was going to read it without even reading it in public, without even looking at the poem, because the title got me. But the poem's even better than the title. My grandmother washes her feet in the sink of the bathroom at Sears. That's the title. By Moja, M-O-H-J-A, Kahf, K-A-H-F. I don't know who about him. I should have looked him up before I came, but I didn't. But I'm going to find out, because he's really good. Okay, here we go. My grandmother puts her feet in the sink of the bathroom at Sears to wash them in the ritual washing for prayer, wudu. Because she has to pray in the store or miss the mandatory prayer time for Muslims, she does it with great poise. Balancing herself with one plump matronly arm against the automated hot air hand dryer, after having removed her support knee-highs, laid them aside, folded in thirds, and given me her purse and her packages to hold so she can accomplish this august ritual and get back to the ritual of shopping for housewares. Respectable Sears matrons shake their heads and frown as they notice what my grandmother is doing. An affront to American porcelain, a contamination of American standards by something foreign and unhygienic, requiring civic action and possible use of disinfectant spray. They fluster about it, flutter their hands, and I can see a clash of civilizations brewing in the Sears bathroom. My grandmother, though she speaks no English, catches their meaning, and her look in the mirror says, I have washed my feet over Ijni tile in Istanbul. With water from the world's ancient irrigation systems, I have washed my feet in the bathhouses of Damascus, over painted bowls imported from China, among the best families of Aleppo, and if you Americans knew anything about civilization and cleanliness, you'd make wider wash bins. Anyway, my grandmother knows one culture, the right one, as do these matrons of the Middle West. For them, my grandmother might as well have been squatting in the mud over a rusty tin in a vaguely tropical squalor, Mexican or Middle Eastern, it doesn't matter which. When she lifts her well-groomed foot and puts it over the edge, you can't do that, one of the women protests, turning to me. Tell her she can't do that. We wash our feet 5 times a day, my grandmother declares hotly in Arabic. My feet are cleaner than their sink. Worried about their sink, are they? I should worry about my feet. My grandmother nudges me. Go on, tell them. Standing between the door and the mirror, I can see at multiple angles my grandmother and the other shoppers, all of them decent and good-hearted women, diligent in cleanliness, grooming, and decorum. Even now, my grandmother, not to be rushed, is delicately drying her pumps with tissues from her purse, while my grandmother always wears well-turned pumps that match her purse. I think in case someone from one of the best families of Aleppo should run into her, here, in front of the Kenmore display, I smile at the Midwestern women as if my grandmother had just said something lovely about them, and shrug at my grandmother as if they had just apologized through me. No one is fooled, but I hold the door open for everyone, and we all emerge on the sales floor and lose ourselves in the great common ground of housewares on markdown. Moja Ka. We'll find out more about it.
Why did you end up with a woman?
So a friend of mine sent it.
So
She's been a
you,
Palestine speaker.
you don't know that person?
No, I just know that I got this in the mail. My friend doesn't send emails, she writes letters. And she sent this to me, and I read that title and I said, I'm going to read this. Okay. Who's up next? Clara Sue.
This is a poem that is a collage of memoir, inspiration and translation of poems by Lipo. A few years ago, Don and I and a whole bunch of others, and Dan Brady, we met at the cafe La Boheme every Tuesday, and we translated many of the Lipo's poems. So this is sort of a collage of that. Okay, so I'm just going to start. Moving with Lipo. Still moving through neglected years. Not a word, not one Chinese word. Buried, that sentiment of spring flower and autumn moon, cotton clouds on dark green sea, yellow hibiscus, the shaded shore, pebbles, shells, and large brown kelps. Salt made lips full, turned girls into dreamers. Letters, blue on the desk, pressed with the reddest flame. Poems in childish calligraphy. Lipo at Squaw Valley, amid a room full of American poets. Tong Tin Ming Yu Guang, his voice, now feminine. Yi Si Dei Sung Sung, quivered in the act of remembering. Hui Tao Mo Ming Yu, the first seed, sown in a sing-song manner. Dai Tao Si Hu Hao, black coffee now, rice wine, pale tea, shrooms. After years of abuse, the liver is failing. Running leaves and newspapers, swishing cars, each step leading to a lesser-known place. Does the light fall in front or behind a window? That mad moon staring. If you should die now, I shall take off my clothes and begin walking. I shall be a different animal with unmistakable markings. I shall hold the moon between my teeth and crack it like a wafer. Summer of 2006, Café La Boheme. We sat around the table translating Lipo. Behind us, the Mexicans were playing chess. R had been noticing us for some weeks. Finally, he walked over and introduced himself, a German illegal immigrant who spoke perfect Spanish. Will you be here again next week? He asked. No, this is our last session. Deep yearnings in Chang'an. Autumn crickets call at the rim of Golden Well. Dewy frost, mattress pale and cold. Unlit lamp brings thoughts of death. Curtain furls, futile moan at moon. You, a flower beyond cloud's edge. Above lies the blue unknown. Below, clear water rushes and whirls. Painful thoughts roam long and far, powerless to cross the mountain pass. Deep yearnings crush my heart. Moving, the moon, Lipo, Frank Sampari, Clara Manuel. Moon, skyscrapers, moon, branches, locked, blue everywhere, light ever, center, unseen, where, yes, flowers at dusk sip smoky mist, sleepless under a pale-lit moon. Scylla rest by the phoenix posed, lute strings yearning to be strummed. This song finds no messenger, rises with spring breeze, swallows flight. Thoughts of you beyond the blue sky, then with flirting glance, now a tearful spring. If you doubt my wretched state, in front of my mirror, come. Clearly, flower, not unlike, no. Gardens, streets, not wretched, state, projected, discoloring. Sit in a park, otherworldly. Thank you.
If you decide to do that again, La Boheme.
All right.
Okay, let's see. Oh, you know what it is? It's time for our feature. Do we take a break after feature or before? After, right? Okay. It's time for our feature poet, David and Erdrich. David Erdrich. I don't have a bio, David, so if you want to say a few words by yourself. I know you play the saxophone.
Saxophone, truck driver, airbrush artist on Telegraph Avenue for 14 years, currently gardener, single father, psychiatric social worker, all kinds of crap. Free books, Mr. E's Mystery. I have a CD in the back, reading every poem, so help yourself if you're interested. And I got 3 rather long pieces that'll take 20 minutes. I'm going to start with a song. I wrote, Chano Pazzo, Dizzy Gillespie wrote Tintindeo 50 years ago. And the song was in my head for a long time. It wouldn't leave me alone. So finally I wrote lyrics to it. And I wrote a harmony and I wrote a part for the do it saxophone too, but I didn't practice enough to do it justice tonight. We will bring everything that we sing, ritmo cubano so sweet. We will start with the beat in our hearts, seat of the beat that repeats, blending the voices, making our choices, playing forever. That's our endeavor. There's a throb, there's a pulse, there's a shout, Chano and Dizzy, no doubt. And continue the beat in our hearts, seat of the beat that repeats, chanting and swaying, fragrance conveying, feet dancing rhythm, soul searching with them. The melody, a little bit of bump, makes me burn in my body. I learned that harmony is hidden in a chord, where my faith in old men is restored. Oh, Tintindeo, oh, Tintindeo, Oh, Tintindale, oh, Tintindale. 1, 2, jazz camp, like a breeze in the trees, Caribbean jazz vamp. Ooh, loving each minute out here in the woods. Good, good enough to be sharing the music with you. Since I can, I will share all the music with jazz camp. Like a breeze in the trees, Caribbean jazz vamp. Ooh, loving each minute out here in the woods. Good, good enough to be sharing the music with you. Since I can, I will share all the music with you. Good enough to be sharing the music. Bow, 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 bow. I was in Paris. I'm 67. I was in Paris for my first time in my life last March, and this came out the third night, second night, third day kind of that I was there. I got up at 4 in the morning because I just couldn't, I had to put this down. So this was without editing. I edited out one word. It took me an hour to do 10 minutes of work. I was doing it as fast as I could. So, Paris, fast forward, French impression. The lobby brooks the passage of Canal Saint-Martin, mere blocks away, bridging urban milieu. To you, pour vous, pas des sous, mais maintenant des euros. You're all I see, all I know, all I feel, forever. Adrift, rift, ascends, declines, time's fork, through a neighborhood rife with life, every cafe, restaurant, seething with aromas, très chic, très drôle, warm, hot, cold, beyond, changing shadows to dreams, dreams to realités, shows to there she blows. Wind whipping Montmartre to start, Scottish pipes wending, winding, a parade, sneezes blasting past vendors, painting, feigning, dodging the hodgepodge, selling the fingers, third eye, the tumblers, rough and acrobatic draft, an eye full of Eiffel, a tower to view askew, millennia remembered in an eye blink, graffiti, cheek by jowl with jewels of Julius Caesar, and you have the gall to smoke your fucking gauloises in a public square where here and again, men and women swimming 3 feet above the Seine, tentatively grasp hands. Where are the marching bands? Iron filigree reminds me exactly where New Orleans stoked its original irons, working through a nuage, Django dangling by a Stephan. Step on, little sparrow, crumble into a fine soup, a salad so fresh it feels like it was just threshed, and chocolate, ooh-wee! The food is so good, I'm shitting chocolate. Louis XIV left his head on the floor. Marie Antoinette was not a safe bet. Versailles did not even raise a sigh. Gardens chilled, not yet in power. Metro, nothing retro. Here, my dear, above, below, never slow, with so many lines. Must connaît le nombre et l'appellation, destination, corrugation, affirmation. Change the station freely. Certain stops will let you transfer. Find the spots, take a seat. Up you go, don't miss a beat. A walking city, all aglow. À l'heure des enfants, tout en dos. Musée, édify portants. Take you out and bring you hence. Magnify and dignify, elucidate. Incredible rates exchange. Le monde, a spinning sphere. Gregarious, grand. So cross the lingo, lango, lang. 'Twas here, a different song I sang. Oh yes, New York still knows my heart. California transplants my main part of which, unstitched, rehemmed, hard thawed, the waters of March paraded into Paris, enchanted me, handed me the gist of my mist, kiss of couture, rush, brush upwards, so finally I can speak and hear des idées, the thrill, chill, and will of a thread gets me out of bed at 4 to score plans, unhatched, new batch of brains, planes, trains, trucks, never stuck in a past pasture, always picking a present relation, negation of absurd, dodging dog turds off the curb, walking to save my life. Traffic? Who cares? I'm not behind the wheel. I'm at the hub, rubbing elbows with natives who view the rest of the world as natives, restless to integrate souls, eager to edge toward the edge, leap, keep the fate, turn the triad into a myriad delta, separating out the, oh, and did I mention the cream, the butter, le beurre is the sweetest. I ever tasted in my life. Magnifique! Back to the metro, hither and yon, accordion players plying the lines, familiar ancient tunes. Soon, just a memory will linger forever in a day. A trip that started on BART with an openly psychotic female raver spouting anti-sexist remarks found a counterpart on the metro, a Parisian retro man lost in his own can of worms, words spewed out past tongues, wrung out with anguish, ignored by all other passengers in transit, sick with no gloria, no hope, no rope to end, bend or mend, a turn to path, a tunnel to funnel, a means to end the mean voices. The train hastens on, quickly is gone, another rabbit hole emerges, purges, charges, barges back up the Seine with a slight remorse, of course, that chestnuts are not yet in blossom, though crocus and daffodils still laugh at snow on the ground, hint at spring to bring forth fifth, banjos, tangos, unraveled bolero, anyone? Building pulse of futures traded in the earthly market of love and fashion, culture and passion, Latin, distinctly not Manhattan, streets rudely handled by by hubs, streets rudely handled by hubs, radiating spokes, spoken in arcs of triumph, citrus of Citroën, opened and shuttered in Louvres of the Louvre, or say, d'Orsay, built with a pattern of modern and ancient, blended seamlessly into Folies Bergère, the naked breast of liberty, libertines, drama queens, je ne sais quoi, panache, élan, in a manner so suave and smooth that the groove in your flesh says, Depeche Mode, take it or leave it. Depeche Mode is a road, take it or leave it. Believe me, when you see Paris, it will free those delusions, contusions, confusions, burnt umber with slumber, reawakened, shaken, stirred through the drink of a pink sink, snake skin shed, the bed down with a sliver of time, a silver of rhyme, a golden yoke's on you, Yanni. Commedia dell'arte, farce sent from Italy to France and back perchance. Slap my back with a stick so thick, a nose large enough to pose problems. In a similar vein, I'm saying sane or sin. Now and then, stay a while, child. Don't gallivant past a poem meant to show 'em you don't know. Merde, don't peer past your peers, because you fear they might upset your apple cart of ego and rhyme. Don't shutter those blind eyes, but ask why an impulse to right wrongs in the middle of a night song belongs on the page. Rage and roll on. Conundrum banishes humdrum. Hum mitigates, elevates morning blues. Morning shower unleashes collar self-imposed. Rose pricking toes. Feet fettered by chains, committed to sentence I ams, embittered by I am nots, pair off paragraphs with an axis allied to the state of the art of the world, expression, progression, regression, advertises the abject object, and adjective adds to adverbial modes of thought to be extinct, but species reclaimed to pay for loss of hair, loss of whole avian genera due to human indifferent expansion. I merely want to say hello. Meet these beings before they depart forever to the shores of westerness, elven homes of begone, each voice a unique conglomerate of sounds further complicated by a choice of appropriate situations, perpetuations, ability to rotate, habituate, and fly. Yes, I admit it, I like to fly, Icarus, fly, not just travel the astral, but hover, accipiter-like, hang on the wind, like a hook, privy to every gust, guest to every cloud. Ah! Thunderclaps aloud, riding the ridge, scanning the waves, surfing the air 1,000 miles for a bite to eat, as if it were just over the next fridge. But alas, I'm settled here for the nonce, like a Murphy in a garret in Paris, like a poet in couplet with a former love who no longer sings the same song. Sure, we get along with an occasional fuss, so why bother with blather? Does it matter? This spot teems with hot powder and mean temperature, gamut of gammon, sins of the cine, clowning around, digging the sounds. When day breaks, I will feast on fresh baked bread, jams I am hard put to put a name to, fruits of the world, fruits of my labor.
Very good.
And I got out, how much time do I have?
Oh, let's see. About 10 minutes.
Oh, more than I thought, okay. I'm a big Roland Kirk fan. How many people know who Roland Kirk is? Show of hands. So a lot of people, about half. Roland Kirk, sorry,
What
Roland.
have you been doing?
I followed him almost religiously for about 5 or 6 years, bought everything he put out, went to hear him all over the place, 5 or 6 different venues in New York and out here, and did a poster and gave it to him and talked to him very briefly a couple times. For those of you who don't know who he is, circular breathing when you play a horn, I play the saxophone, you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And there are a number of trained, another player with Miles, I can't think, was it George, something between Train and Wayne Shorter. Anyhow, they breathe through the, Kirk has a piece on Prepare Thyself for a Miracle where he plays 3 horns at once, which is one thing, and he plays it like he's 3 different people. But he plays Prepare Thyself for a Miracle. He plays for 20 minutes non-stop without breathing. So, and it's musical. So anyhow, for Roland Kirk, I Talk with the Spirits, my personal favorite album where he just played flute. Okay, so what I did here was I took all my albums, and every time I'll give you an exclamation point, I took the titles of the album and put them into a poem. So, which like Ralph Gleason did for Miles Davis on ESP, '66. So that idea. So I'll give an exclamation point when I get to the end of each album. I talk with these are all Roland's pieces. I talk with the spirits in ruined castles where Django boards my ship through trees while fuging and alluding to a quote from Clifford Brown, which is just a serenade to a cuckoo. We'll be together again, people, because the business ain't nothing but the blues! Exclamation point. So once in a while, rip, rig, and panic into a mystical dream from Bechet, Bias, and Fats, because a black diamond can be as slippery, hippery, flippery as a no-tonic prez! Exclamation point. Rolando says, I believe in you, E.D., but in time, meeting on Termini's corner, I got to get out of town and lament a stretch in time, greasing my domino by 3-in-1 without the oil! Exclamation point. Now we free kings play some kind of love, since Blues for Alice is the haunted melody with a sack full of soul. My delight is a moon song played by 3 for the festival. You did it! You did it! Exclamation point. Feel my heart at thy sweet voice, when tears sent by you generate blues for C&T. Where does the blame lie, petite fleur? Does Vertigo Row march on Swan Lake with gifts and messages because hip chops are the things I love? Question mark, exclamation point. Digging yesterday's roots, I said, step right up, aluminum baby. As we were making love after hours, I wished on the moon, and lo and behold, here comes the whistle man! Exclamation point. Now Bag's Groove New York theme is just Lover Man, Blue Raw, checking milestones, and a moon song is just a shadow of your smile because there will never be another you, lover! Exclamation point. I waited for you, IX love, like Hacha waited for Lady Blues. The quintessence of black mystery has been revealed as expansions of a flower is a loathsome thing! Exclamation point. Blackness ain't no sunshine. Can I make it with you, my girl? One nation, which way is it going? What's going on? Take me, girl, I'm ready. I love you, yes I do. Mercy, mercy me. Never can say goodbye to that old rugged cross! Exclamation point. Rasanica, black root, harder and harder, spiritual leads to the haunted feelings of raped voices as a prelude back home sweeps daydream into dance of the lobes, where island cry is something for Train that Train could have said. The ragman and the junk man ran from the businessman. They laughed and he cried, breathathon! Exclamation point. Now please don't you cry, beautiful Edith! Exclamation point. Lover, come back to me at daybreak. I didn't know about you, since I don't get around much anymore, so do nothing till you hear from me near Kearney and Bigard Place, because this love of mine is something about believing a dream! Exclamation point. If you're slightly Latin, meet ebrachus, which is kind of B square reversed, and
and anagram backwards, but anyhow. If you're slightly Latin, meet Ebracus and Rauf on safari in Juarez, where shaky money ain't nothing but the truth. It's all in the game, so walk on by, and I love her! Exclamation point. Prepare thyself to deal with a miracle in a saxophone concerto, where a saxophone miracle is one breath beyond the dance of revolution, where the ninth ghost blends one mind winter summer seasons into the salvation and reminiscent of celestial bliss. I talk with the Spirit. Transcribed by U. Lippian. Another little Kirk pun there. That's it. Thank you, Roland. Yeah, baby, wherever you are. Okay. I've been married and divorced 3 times, and
Bragging or complaining?
no, I'm not bragging. Yeah, I know. Boy, if I ever refer to them as exes, boy, I would really get the shit from me. Don't refer to me as your ex. Okay. Well, they're humans. Okay. So this is called at a distance. When having a disagreement with an ex-wife at a distance, the first thing I do is get angry for at least an hour. After calming down, I rack my brain trying to figure out how to present my case in a manner she can digest. This takes at least another half hour, whereupon I decide it's impossible. Next, I put my reply in an email and edit out all accusatory, emotional, obsequious, and derogatory thoughts. Put the facts down succinctly and prepare to capitulate to her every whim, without getting emotional and resorting to the litany of her shortcomings, a powerful sermon I always hold in reserve. Lo and behold, she agrees to the facts as presented. Case closed. Oh, of course, I'm nonviolent. Have been for a long time. I just happen to carry a cudgel in my brain. Putting it on paper, I realized finally, after 30 years, I'm at least half the problem. Okay, at least half. Oh, a couple short ones. Yeah, okay, let's go to haiku. My first haiku was haiku, gesundheit. Sorry, but yeah, I can't resist the bad one. This is called trim and fit. I do garden. I do a lot of tree trimming. Trim and fit. Cut interior branches to let in the light so the tree can fly. All right, here's another one. Writers need clean sheets. Extrapolate clouds upon which to rest our heads. I'll do one short one and then a short poem and then I'll stop. Okay, I'll do that one. Disappears from light, needs to be alone. PowerPoint glows in the dark. Okay, and last. Mountains have not forgotten winter. They bend wind, intercept clouds, change the shape of a snowflake. Ice shivers slabs like you would separate slices of bread. Rippling spine shrugs into earthquake. Rocks tumble, snow avalanches like crusts brushed from open eyelids. Mountains have not forgotten winter. Thank you. The rise and fall of the Erdreich.
Erdreich.
The rise and fall of the Erdreich.
Erdreich.
You'll remember.
Erdreich. I'll remember that.
That's very
Okay,
good.
thank you. Thank you. And, okay, now it's break time.
Free.
And then after the break, we
Take a
have
couple, take a couple.
Pablo, Garrett, Greg Pond, and, oh, I can't read that.
Freebie.
Marcia.
Don't let me force you.
And Marco Harper is here, so you better hurry up. Okay.
Right here, David or?
Buy food.
I heard you the other day. You can have another one if you want.
You should have that.
Vampires, the usual.
Thank
Because it was old school, I think knee replacements.
Can I have one? You're all.
Absolutely, sir.
I really wanted to
Thank
just.
you. Are those Roland Kirk song titles, that poem?
Those are all song titles from Roland Kirk's albums.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I like your stuff. I had a couple of years ago, but I couldn't hear it. Well, I like 6 inches, which is powerful, which is good. And humor always helps.
Hey, we got along without this too.
How many people? How many people are there?
I think she's still.
Hey,
Yes,
you got it.
maybe. Got left. She must have left.
You want to finish up?
Sure, you don't want to go. You want anything to drink?
I'm gonna see if I can get it right.
Let me go get another glass of wine. The second.
No, I have to go get a bus. So how you doing for, May 3rd? First Saturday. That's cool. You and Stephanie.
All right.
But last night.
It was great.
April 5th.
April 3rd.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Very good.
And also, I like that herbal, especially Bill, but I like it too. Likes to have a little musical interlude before the poetry reading.
Oh.
So if you know anybody that's, you want to, Bill knows a lot of people.
I take something called deep sleep.
Last, well, the second we're gonna have again. This guy, plays a spirit bound to the African, Brazilian, Swedish.
Do you want me to write down the ones I take?
What you need, man?
But it's not.
Oh, the prizes.
No, I'm saying.
Not this one. Not this one.
Saying that like that does take.
Oh, yeah, I did that.
I don't want to get in.
Oh, yeah, we got the extra, there's your cards in there too.
Oh, that's
Numbers.
There's where you just pass to double the doses.
These are just numbers. Okay, so those work?
Yeah, somewhere in that.
You know how to do that? I don't know how to do that.
Shuffle in there. No, it's just
Oh, that's the mini
the
feature.
feature.
Oh, the mini feature, okay.
So that means that these are cards. But I don't know. I don't think that
Yeah, we've got, looks like 14.
Are you reading? Will you be reading
13.
something? Will you be reading?
You can find anybody to do that.
John, do you want to stay long and hear the rest?
Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
You want this?
My purse, I'm gonna go find a box.
There's one just went by about 5 minutes. 1 minute. Well, why don't you check what's happening?
Okay. I'm going the other way after walking these three.
Joseph Farm. How are you? Good.
And I had, I've been
Nice to hear your voice.
years. And I flew out of it.
I remember just living here.
Yeah.
We went up the
How many of them 14, 19?
I just put Marco, he's the mini feature, I put him way down there. In case he doesn't come later.
Good stuff.
You know what I mean? Now they're expensive, now I won't spend the money.
I saw the announcement in 60 a lot in New York. Very aware of what was going on. I think that was,
Yeah, it's
civil rights and everything. That was the
odd
time
things that
a
inspire
lot of
me.
African Americans.
Yeah, thinking about it.
Creative direction.
I have an idea for a new
Just thinking about that.
Well, I've heard this idea, but I haven't
I like
been able to
those
get it
stuff.
started. Another target.
All kinds of stuff.
And I thought, yeah, I wanted to take a whole lot of
Walk on
I was an Anatolian journey, and I have six so far. I just want to do about 30.
Well, the odd conversation thing that I did like came from
I saw him in
that I saw in Victoria now.
There's another room.
And it was just a really standard thing, you know, with a young man and a young woman sitting on the hill, flowers. And for some reason, I haven't thought about that.
Okay, let me see how long it all right.
And I kind of think of how it was.
It's 70. I'll be 71 years old.
And then I should hit you a down.
February 20.
Like, this is just I spent a weekend
Got one already?
And he sued me,
My birthday fell on Black Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't call it Black Friday then.
No, that's when I was born.
That's sort of a new concept.
You're ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Are you ready? So you're gonna speak, are you perform? So, okay, just came. I'm leaving. She's nice enough to bring her. Oh, you're
Yeah.
I have a lady from.
The North Beach Chamber, I used to, not anymore.
And you had that gallery upstairs?
I still have the, no, I still have the gallery, but I'm finished with the North Beach Chamber.
Well, I lived in North Beach for 20 years. One or not, but the last time around, we
Spring egg.
Oh, okay.
I tell you, she's now responsive.
I sort of remember your face,
It's in
but I've
Falcon
seen you.
Symphony, right?
Yeah, I was the feature program. Yeah. Okay, bye.
You know, 15 years from now,
Really?
go down.
She said,
Right.
to my gallery. Oh, maybe she came for a portrait. It must be. It must be. He says huge. He says
Fall over.
Thank you, that was great, I really like it.
Thank you for your roast.
Do that, Tara's poem in 1 hour?
It took me an hour to write.
An hour to write down?
I just was putting it down as fast as I could. The movie wouldn't shut up, you know, I learned as a poet, first impressions, especially when I was big, are completely different, like friends. You better put it down because
You're never gonna get it
you
back.
won't see it's the same as that. Already you're taking things for granted.
No, that's a tough edge you get. How's it 10 cents?
Well, her face looks familiar to me, but I don't know whether it's from the last time here.
And only $20.
Thank
I know, that's the thing.
How's Dan doing, okay?
It was funny. They actually stayed home and
When I,
Ready?
all, I don't
better?
know,
Last
the
I heard,
Irish
yeah,
plane,
slowly.
and we all.
Slowly improving, yeah.
Well, I've seen it before.
And so everybody
Yeah, yeah.
got
But he's
drinks and
fairly
dinner,
healing
and this one girl,
according
she
to
was like,
the
not
doctors.
like money or not drinking.
Yeah, on his
And,
leg.
and so we all, $40, she would say it was like the price of your entire meal.
Yeah, when did you still with my, she said, oh, yeah.
He's not allowed to hang for this. He's not allowed to work.
Bob Marty had some wrong with putting your future.
Eventually over the years, they got way more.
Yeah, 36.
Way back. I'm sure this is. But I know I've seen, yeah, it was something, I've only been here twice. I think that they were here before. It was the last time I was I got to do it.
No, not really. I don't really talk about it too much.
But
yeah,
I do chat about it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be. See, when you're not done,
Like, can I hear address again?
Yeah, like right across the.
Yeah, so soon the regular host, those are doing his niece. Yeah, it's like Dan Brady, really nice.
Oh,
He's
yes.
an elementary school teacher. Did you know Mary Rich? But yeah, younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a small crowd usually. Last time.
I just saw her 2 days before her death. It was a dancing poetry, read a song.
No, I don't know. I'm trying to look at a bunch of that.
He died, he's
Oh, that's the way everybody. He said 67, he said.
I thought it was like.
Not me.
Toys.
I'm gonna rave. If he says something, you don't get a rave at the dying of everything. They like the song. They wouldn't be real boys. I thought they were good.
He was creeping.
Nice call.
No telling what might have been happening subjectively with dreams or something. Might have been raging at this
It's
time.
true. She had a good imagination.
She was a good.
Of course, Stefano was called. He's like,
She had a great
Stefano
spirit.
said that twice.
She was tough, she had a great spirit. That's the main thing.
And she had great action too. You didn't look out the street.
Yeah.
She walked the walk forward.
Did I tell you I told him he had to get himself? I remember she featured in Larry's towards the end of Larry's. Yes.
Long.
I said, I'm not gonna wear $100 for this one. Wear with bleach. After I heard her, these poems she did at the poetry school and stuff. I was like, it's disgusting. No, he says, oh, well, I got my wife and my servant. So then today he says to me, do this, do that. I said, Stefano, I'm not really secretary, I'm not this servant. I said, just certain things with the computer.
And
Phone this person, do this. He said, you have a secretary. I said,
protege.
And then he goes, please. I said, you know, Ben's not please. Then he comes back, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Hi, honey, can you do this one? And today somebody threatened to bury and he went in front of a restraint. Well, not a restraint, but a police restraint. Told me what's going on there because somebody in front of me shot. The guy who talked to us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
She was a badass one. She
Oh,
was
yeah.
great.
Stephanie's been out in that way because there's a lot of corruption.
Well, I used to live in Oakland, so I did a lot of stuff with the Bay Area folks.
Oh, there you go. And the guy
We
saw
used to meet in
Steve
front yard sometimes.
restaurant.
Yeah,
And they opened the window on all of this.
Picked you up,
The guy
you know,
walked by
went out
and he
for.
pointed to Stephanie. And Stephanie was
That
there.
is
And
very
if you go on there,
good.
someone's a coin.
At the
She
end of
was just so,
And he said,
she was just so enthusiastic.
At the end of her life, she sat, she was like on the porch.
something, but it was very hostile.
But she stayed out on the porch, and we
You
did
better
the
stop
thing in
her.
the yard.
Get people, you know, that
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
her house
You know,
was
like,
fantastic.
it was almost like if you
Well, the
want
other thing was, she didn't, yeah, right, but she didn't start writing.
but all verbal. Nothing.
Yeah.
And his lawyer was with
Yeah,
me.
she
The
was.
guy, the other guy who
Well, she
made the
started
statement.
writing.
And the
It used to
lawyer's
be-
like
it used to
pushing
be a
him down the
newsletter,
street.
for-
So Stephanie went to the cops, and the cops said,
magazine.
oh, well.
And I helped her with one.
Stephanie said, well, you like it, they did it to you. And the cops is all
Went
there.
over to her.
They don't want to.
It was hard to keep.
They don't want
I helped her
to
pick the poems out.
stir things up. They don't want any
Yeah,
extra.
I liked it better.
So anyway,
I went there by myself.
Stephanie talked when we filed the report.
I sat next to these couple that.
Very
But the
funny.
other day, somebody else took no sneeze. And he is
Like they,
I've never met him.
But she was like a secretary for
I
us.
started like
Yeah,
polishing.
I said to him,
That's
he's,
kind of weird.
he's not the type
The guy
there.
that-
So I said, Stephanie,
No,
how
like,
do you
it was
do
all
growing
growing
up?
up.
And his hair is where you see what it
And it's,
is.
I was living in the village.
Really good.
I guess they just about
Well, it looks like him, but he's not. He's the one my wife.
Or like, she was in the back of the
She likes
people
long
over
hair.
there.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, Stephanie. I mean, so then he says to me, oh, he says,
That was the hardest.
yesterday when I told him about the carpet, he says, well, we'll get somebody in here to clean the carpet and take it off the top.
I
I
did that
said,
in
no,
San
I'm not paying for somebody.
Learned a lot quickly.
You know, like take it off the top of our income.
Yeah.
Meaning,
Police do
I
it
would
at least
be
they-
sharing the cost of cleaning his bathroom.
I don't do that well
Ladies and gentlemen,
We had, I worked at a
welcome to the
group
second half of the Sacred Grounds
I
of
really
Light.
can get my own
Group therapy.
January
everybody was a
22nd,
peer,
2014.
messed up.
I said, I wouldn't even ask him to do it.
Well, that's so good.
We have 4 poets left. We have Pablo Garrett, a guy named Greg Pond, who looks a lot like him. And I believe Marcia.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. So 5 minutes, everybody. And again, thank you all for coming, and thank you all for staying till the end. Really appreciate the fact that you support all the poets by staying here and listening to them. Thank you. All right, first up, Pablo. Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right. Well, glad to be back. Me too. All right. That's all, everybody.
All right, round 2. I've actually been writing poems right now in the moment, so I'm really excited. Let me read this one. Just gonna bring this one. I'm a midget. All right. Poetry.
I feel so excited, like my energy is having the best sex with myself. This shit is crazy, like the first time I kissed a girl, but every time is the first time I hear you. Like I want to cry and jump for joy at the same time, like I want to live and die at the same time, close to your beauty, lying behind your lines that don't lie. That's that one. Wrote this one the other day. That's what we'll tell. A world without the buzz of electricity. A world full of simplicity. A world with just the buzz of bees and the silent humming of trees. Not the sound of snaps as capitalism's weight breaks the backs and drains the last ounce of dignity from the human soul. But the sound of justice, like the leaves crunching under my bare feet, the tight grasp released from Mother Nature's neck, inhale a breath of fresh freedom. Here's another one. Poetry warms my soul like a sacred fire sitting in the secret center of society that only exists to those born to listen or willing to learn. A crackling fire that eternally exists at the heart of our human culture, that still exists underneath the dirt even when the buildings fall and technology tumbles, that still exists between you and me when we tell each other stories. My pen runs out of ink, but my mind is never dry. Heavy thoughts would try to sink me, but poetry gives me wings to fly. Trying to perfect my craft, but only then I fail, cause naturally it is natural to inhale and exhale. Whimsical, clever with words, rhythm is my gift. Beating drums, pleasing eardrums, making spirits lift. Do I have time left? Oh. I don't know why I said that in the mic. You're like right next to it.
You're a performer.
There you go. Alright. Let's see what I got left. Alright, so I'm racially mixed. So I'm El Salvadorian and Italian and Irish. So first time I met my dad was like well, I met him when I was 15. I'm 26 years old now. I know I don't look like it, but I went to El Salvador for the first time last summer. So these are a couple of poems I wrote while I was down there. El Salvador. In my life, I've had many mothers, and being a man with more than one race flowing through me, I have more than one story in my blood. El Salvador, you are also my mother, and I have seen you through the spirit of my father. That's done.
That's beautiful.
Alright, just got two more real quick ones. This one's dedicated to my father, getting to know my father. As I stare at the fire, wrapped in the blanket of the night, I think of my father, pienso en mi padre. As I watch the smoke rise to the night sky, like whispers on the wind, pienso en mi padre. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I see more of my mother or my grandfather. But for everything that I cannot see, like the fire in me, pienso en mi padre. Alright, I'm just going to end it with this one real quick. This one just has to do with being mixed. I am neither, I am both. Soy ninguno, soy los dos. Do I have time one more? Yeah. Okay, let me spit this one out. Okay. I find the mind has a mind of its own. It's the heart that can lead us best. Though I value my mind's infinite ability, only my heart can lead me out of life's maze.
have Garrett Murphy.
The fairest play of all. Every now and then you may hear this line that life is not fair. Maybe it isn't, maybe it never will be, for they say life is not fair, so get used to it. Well, there are and have been since time began, and maybe even before, people and more people who refuse to heed that, who had made efforts to equalize the odds, to free themselves and others from bondage, from slavery, from subjugation, from once terminal or crippling diseases, and all other forms of oppression and suffering. And on behalf of those that might have been otherwise sacrificed to the mantra that life is not fair, be it various qualities of life, or right to various entitlements, or to one's beliefs, there have just been so many disobedient souls and rabble who refuse to get used to things. That is, who just would not stop and trying to come just a few steps closer to that impossible adjective known as fair. But life is not fair. Well, maybe life isn't fair, maybe it never will be, but no matter what, there are just so many people insisting that life can be fair or as close to it as possible. So could it be, my friend, you who say that life is not fair, so get used to it, are the one who should get used to it? That maybe you should get used to your comfort zone, which apparently you refer to when you claim you've got yours, being challenged by those who also want theirs. By those who want life to be fair to others, it has obviously been for you. Whoopers, cool you ain't. With respects and apologies to Dorothy Parker. I hate whooping. It rips my ears and sears my mind and reveals the wolfness that would be fine on a wolf. Not so much on the wannabes, especially while it hurts the ears and rattles the brains and disrupts the concentration. That's not the TV game show. I hate whoopers. They derail my train of thought, and that's no whistle. In dog we trust. It's often said, in God we trust. But you know one little thing, should one flip over that second little word, our true belief may be revealed. In dog we trust. Think about it. Dog is instituted as man's best friend, the obligatory unit of the perfect family, protector of the nuclear home, and the perfect macho pet. Go out and attack someone, go out and make noise, loud, abrupt, spontaneous, just like a child, and just like a child, we see no end of stuff being intruding their supposedly innocent mugs plastered over our close-ups as if that was supposedly so innocent. Then they whine about the pedophilia and bestiality they themselves have encouraged. You know, the dog is a quintessential child. The child that never grows up. The child that is most obedient and most likely to see the master as God. As in God we trust. More aptly, in ourselves we trust. But frankly, there somewhere is a market for dog head cheese.
Thank you, Garrett. And I guess I'll read just a little bit. My name is Rick Pond. I was going to read this, since Garrett read one about a dog, I'll read this one about my dog. It's called Doggone. My dog of 16 years pulled away from me more than a few tears, dropped like the pitter-patter of nails on hardwood floors that I no longer hear, nor feel the chill nose snuggle up close to me for a rubbed tummy, stroked ears, or rawhide bone. My dog of 16 years was pulled away to dream, to shed in heavenly air. Sometimes I'll find a reminder, a lost biscuit or old squeaky bear. Now that she's no longer here, I miss the old dear with all my love. I'll always wear the feeling of fingers through her hair. like a fur-lined glove. Close coldness. I love, yet I'm losing you, a little each more, every day by day, while memories still burn, but our present fades away. Now we only embrace with close coldness and distant hugs, because any other gestures or expressions of love rarely fall upon you with more than an icy touch. As you lay under the same chilly sheets as I lay, freezing, seeking the warmth from the heat that we used to have. While each year, winter appears a little earlier, lasts a little longer, and we shiver a little more in the cold silence of living with our backs facing each other's back. This last one, macho. Won't allow myself to cry when there isn't enough time to weep, sniff, and dry before red eyes belie the I'm all right, but in denial smile. Gotta stand up straight with a masculine spine in place, sacrificing vulnerability, making sure there's no trace of soft in sight. In fear of seeming meek, willing to pay the cost through the course of lives because too many can't afford the loss, nor surrender drops of ego or pride, can't embrace or accept, not for a minute, that weakness sometimes finds a beat within even the strongest rhythm. Thank you. And before we give out the prizes, we're going to wrap up the evening with Marsha Cohen, is it?
Cowan.
Cowan. Marsha Cowan. Welcome.
I read here as featured poet in July, and I read 4 poems of a series I'm writing called An Anatolian Journey, and I have since written 2 more in that series, and the first one of that is, number 5, is on Ephesus, and the Turks call it Ephes. Ephes, desolate, empty, abandoned, ancient chronicle of forgotten epics. Rome's outlying port, now withdrawn from the sea, the icy slanting rain washes crumbled marble shapes of collapsed history, clinging to the edge of today. Curtained with time, vines and tangled growth, rain, mist, and clouds veil the crumbling past. A hollow bell clunks as a solitary sheep emerges, ghost-like from the fog, grazing on tufts of grass while nimbly picking its path with cloven hooves. Amid the haunted ruins, the cynical laughter of whores is non-existent now. The brothel's Roman mosaics are cleansed bright by the rain, and the whispers of orators shout silently from undulating library steps, warped by thousands of years of shifting, quaking earth. Roofless houses offer no shelter. Ancient Greek graffiti remains, carved in marble, traces of a long-ago populace, a clandestine cross, a fish, and a left footprint to indicate the wrong path. And from the vacated Ephesians pock-marked amphitheater, above the whinge of the wind, echoes Apostle Paul's esoteric command, awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead. Number 6 on the Anatolian journey is Kavakladere. Kavakladere is a neighborhood in Ankara. It's difficult to remember now when I, not quite girl, not quite woman, craved love, and so many years ago flew through the night to Ankara to live with you in Kavakladere. Kavakladere, a stream now underground like a river Styx with poplars alongside its banks. Your piercing gaze declared your love, and we plunged into the future. Our first home, a dreary furnished rental with dark plaid furniture and a grand view of rooftops, smoke-choked skies, and barren far hills where at night Gece Kondula crept up the soft brown slopes, relentlessly altering the views. I remember a tiny, narrow kitchen where fat cockroaches fell from the ceiling into pots of soup, and we locked the bread in a suitcase to outwit them. I remember warm October days and cold nights of hissing radiators and each other. I remember the magnified Imam's voice wheeling across the sky like the flocks of surjuk, the ebonized glittering starlings that daily winged past our window to settle on the patch of grass below. There's more. There must be. But callous time is stealing the details, and you, my love, are no longer here, and I, growing old, am having trouble remembering. And the last poem was recently accepted by the Imperial War Museum in London to be part of its archives. And it's based on a letter that my father wrote to his mother. My father was an officer in the Royal Air Force. And my mother was not only married to him, but she also married his brother after the war, who raised me. So it's taken from a letter that my father wrote to his mother. My dear, dear mother, the long dark winter is ahead. You do not have an easy time working from morning until night, worrying about the younger children. I'll be glad when the war is over and my brother is back home. He is the apple of your eye, and soon we'll have things organized. He is the most honest fellow I know. I think the world of him. He deserves only the best. I have a home I am proud of, a wife who is all I could wish for, and soon a child of my own. I only wish for half of Dad's bravery. He was a game fellow. It was just bad luck he was ill. He taught me not to fear death. Now, when I fly, it seems a joke, flirtation with life and death itself. With love, your obedient son.
Thank you all this evening. We have some prizes here. We have, first of all, the mini feature. The mini feature is a 8-minute mini feature, which happens next week and in the second half of the open mic. And we also have several books here. We have a book from Jack Bellender, and we have Margaret Truman, Elizabeth George, P.D. James. We have a dictionary, we have calendars, etc. So we're going to pick out some numbers, and please feel free. We only have so many people here. So, all right, let's jump those. Okay. So
also like maybe Third Reich.
Got it.
Alright, here we go. Alright, 36, we didn't go that far. 39, 38, 37, 34,
Did you shuffle?
33, 31, 16. No, we get that far. 15, not quite, almost. 1, Buford, hey! Little feature, okay. That. Right. Next up is 18, no, 14.
That's
Marsha Cowan. Cowan.
What do I do?
You have your choice.
You have to choose.
All these wonderful books. This is Jack's book. Jack's ready to sign it for you. And there's lots of others that you can.
E.D. James, I think I've read that.
Margaret Blumen, George. There's some calendars here.
I like reading history. This sounds familiar. Prisoner's Hamlet. Murder, I want to put my glasses on. On the birth of a forensic medicine in jazz age. That sounds good. Well, Elizabeth Georgia.
All right.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Next up.
Elizabeth George, mystery.
27. No. 25. 23, 30, 26, 29, 24, 22, 5. 5. 5 is Jonathan. Jonathan's gone. Feature, David.
Feature, wow.
Yes.
The Joker is in the
There
bed.
you go.
No question.
All right, excellent. Good choice.